Yesu akasema maneno haya ya kwamba ushahidi wa mtu ama watu wawili au watatu, basi ifahamike ya kwamba jambo hilo.
Hello my darklings, welcome. Today we're taking you to somewhere in Kenya. This is a story about manipulation, a story about fate and mass death. This is the story of Paul Mackenzie, a man who had a massacre done in the Shakahola forest. Paul Mackenzie was born in 1973. He was born into a family of about 10. He was the fifth child. He attended Maulewa Primary School. And then his secondary education was at Lukore Secondary School. According to the Kenyan Certificate of Secondary Education, he was termed as a modest student. He always had a C. And so after his secondary school education, he moved to Likoni in Mombasa and started living with his brother. While he was there, he started very little jobs like hawking, pushing carts, selling flour. And then in 1997, his sister bought him a car.
This is for you, little brother.
But at that time, Paul Mackenzie couldn't drive.
Thank you.
And so he had to learn how to drive.
So proud of you.
And so during the course of him learning how to drive, he started a taxi driving business where he would always drive people around. And this kind of brought him closer to God, as he was very present in church and ministry. He was known to be a member of the Malindi Fellowship Baptist Church. He was in ministry as well. In 2003, he founded the Good News International. And his goal was simple. His goal was to bring souls to Christ. But he had a very weird way of going about it. Crazy. Paul Mackenzie and his teachings were a bit extreme, as he condemned all modern amenities. He condemned healthcare. He condemned the use of European things. He also said that the UN and national IDs are tools of Satan. So I'm sure you get the picture of the man that we're speaking about now. In March of 2023, authorities were kind of tipped off that members from his sect were going missing. And so they investigated, but what they found out was beyond their comprehension. What they found in the Shakahola forest was that of death and despair.
Graves filled with his followers, unearthing grisly details. There was an order of death. Children went first, but not the pastor's children, and he went last. Those who resisted were beaten, even killed. Some of the bodies were strangled or suffocated.
Hundreds of followers were emancipated, their body frail from hunger. Survivors told us that
In an act of defiance for Shakahola Massacre. Just a few months ago, cooking food for her family was considered a sin. Shakahola rescued her 5 children from a Christian doomsday cult. She was told they must starve so they could see Jesus. If she hadn't escaped, they would be dead.
When the child cries or asks for food or water, we were told to take a cane and beat them so they could go and eat in heaven. So I thought about it and I said, I cannot go along with this, and I can't eat while my child is starving.
But how come so many parents could? Shakahola asked many questions about the meaning of the deaths all around her.
We would gather every Saturday and the pastor would tell us the world was coming to an end. He said we should fast and die because if we delayed, heaven would be full. But when I was fasting, God spoke to me. He told me
over 400 people died. And out of these people, 191 were children. Only 72 people survived. Most of the other members are either dead and buried or still at large. Inside the sect, followers said that there were some sort of rules and regulations that you have to follow in order to survive.
We are one in spirit,
He had a militia.
in faith.
That is, he had a group of armed men that worked for him and followed every of his orders. It was also said that followers had to follow every of his orders or they have to pay with their lives. If you were ever found trying to escape, you are going to pay with your life. Some of the members had been killed and buried right there. And some of the members who had died from starvation also buried right there. Parents were separated from their children.
John followed the teachings of the controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie on television. That's when their lives changed, says Stephen Mwiti.
His name is Helen.
She withdrew their children from school, he says. These are their school uniforms and bags. The couple fought about it. He'd forcefully take them to school himself. Then, one day, his wife and their 5 children disappeared from home. He showed this picture to the first survivors rescued from the cult, and they gave him the crushing news.
They said the children were denied food and water. After about 5 days, they would die. Then their bodies would be picked up and buried in a mass grave. They told me they knew where my 3 children, Jacob, Lillian, and Angelina, were buried. There were about 10 children in one grave.
2 more, Helen and Samuel, he was told, had been starving for 4 days when the survivors were rescued. This is Shakahola in Kenya's southeast, where Mackenzie's followers were kept. Mass graves, some containing the bodies of up to 20 children, were found here. 429 bodies have been retrieved.
Wives and husbands separated. Every meal was denied. Every cry for help was taken for granted. This place, where they were, suddenly became their prison yard and eventually their graveyard. In January of 2024, Paul Mackenzie and 30 others were arrested for the murder of 191 children. Many victims could not even be identified, as some of them had already been dead. Some of them were at large. Nobody really knew who most of these people were. Some of them, their families never reached out to look for them. The Kenyan government declared the Good News International Church as an organized crime group under the Prevention of Organized Crime Act for Kenya. But yet, questions remain. How could one man, over the years, be able to do this much damage and no one noticed? What was it that he did right, that he went unnoticed for years? Another question begs to offer itself. Another question surfaces. When will Africans open their eyes from blindly following charismatic and religious
have people who just
leaders?
wake up one day in the name of a calling to, drive people on a suicide path. Every church, every mosque, every temple and synagogue must belong to a registered, structured framework.
Investigations into the scale of Mackenzie's alleged crimes are ongoing.
The Shakahola Massacre really shocked Kenyans and the world at large. Survivors shared their heart-wrenching trauma. Families demanded justice. The case also kind of ignited a debate on how Africans blindly follow charismatic and religious leaders. Paul Mackenzie's cult just reminded us of a very frightening truth. The human mind can really be manipulated by charm, by promise of salvation. So remember this story, my darklings. When you are called to follow a religious cause blindly, or a religious leader, or when you are called to protect the vulnerable, remember and never underestimate the darkness that can be behind a smile and a sermon. This has been Amara in the Dark. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. So if you did, like, subscribe, share, leave comments, and wait for our next episode. as we will in fact wow you. I'm your host, Amara In The Dark, and this has been Amara In The Dark.